Did you know most people over 60 do not survive their first heart attack if they are alone? It sounds terrifying, but it's a reality. Emergency doctors have witnessed for many years. Many people do not die because the heart attack happens too quickly. They die because they hesitate. They think it's just fatigue, indigestion, stomach pain, or something that will go away after a few minutes. But during a real heart attack, every minute that passes means heart cells are slowly dying. And the most dangerous part is the body often sends warning signals before it's too late, yet many older adults ignore them. Some people feel a crushing pressure on their chest, as if a heavy stone is pressing down on them. Others suddenly become short of breath, dizzy, or break out in a cold sweat without doing anything strenuous. Some people simply feel unusually exhausted and collapse just minutes later. The heartbreaking truth is that many of these people could have survived if they had recognized the warning signs earlier and acted the right way. If you or someone you love has ever experienced one of these symptoms, comment one below so others know you care about your health. And who knows, your comment might encourage someone else to pay attention to their body before it's too late. In this video, we will go through 7 heart attack warning signs that people over 60 should never ignore. And most importantly, by the end of this video, you'll learn what to do to increase your chances of survival if a heart attack happens while you are completely alone. And the very first sign, also the most dangerous warning sign you should never ignore, is chest pain, pressure, or heaviness. Many people describe it as feeling like a massive stone is pressing tightly against their chest. It is not the kind of sharp pain that lasts a few seconds and disappears, but a heavy, squeezing, uncomfortable sensation that continues. Some people feel a burning pain in the center of the chest, while others say it feels as if someone is tightening a grip around their heart. What makes this so frightening is that many people over 60 mistake this symptom for indigestion, bloating, or ordinary fatigue. They drink water, lie down, apply medicated oil, and keep waiting. But during that time, the blood flow supplying the heart may be getting blocked minute by minute. Cardiologists often call this the golden window. If emergency treatment is given within the first critical minutes, the chances of survival increase dramatically. But if someone tries to endure the pain or delays getting help, the damage to the heart can become permanent. It becomes especially dangerous when the pain spreads to the left arm, shoulder, back, neck, or jaw. That is when the body is sending an urgent distress signal. A 72-year-old man once shared that he believed he was only suffering from stomach pain after dinner. He sat resting for nearly an hour before finally calling emergency services. By the time he arrived at the hospital, doctors told him his heart had already suffered severe damage because he came in too late. So, if you have ever experienced unusual chest pressure or pain, even just once, comment 2 below. Many people ignore this first warning sign until their body no longer has a second chance to warn them. And even more concerning, not everyone having a heart attack experiences severe chest pain. There is another warning sign that is far more silent, often appearing before the actual heart attack itself, especially in older adults. And that is the next sign. Many people believe that a heart attack must always come with severe chest pain. But in reality, for many people over 60, the very first warning sign is shortness of breath. You may be sitting and resting normally, and suddenly feel out of breath. Walking just a few steps can leave you exhausted. Some people even wake up in the middle of the night feeling like they cannot get enough air into their lungs. And the frightening part is that this symptom often appears quietly, causing many people to dismiss it. When the heart begins to weaken or blood vessels become blocked, the body no longer receives enough oxygen. At that point, the heart and lungs are forced to work harder just to keep the body alive. As a result, you may feel heavy breathing, chest tightness, or pressure deep inside the chest. Many older adults assume this is simply a sign of aging, lack of sleep, or normal fatigue. But doctors warn that unusual shortness of breath, especially when combined with sudden exhaustion or dizziness, can be an early warning sign of a heart attack. A 7-year-old woman once shared that she never experienced chest pain before being hospitalized. The only thing she noticed was extreme shortness of breath while folding clothes at home. Just minutes later, she collapsed onto the floor. Fortunately, her daughter called emergency services in time. The most dangerous thing about this symptom is how easy it is to ignore. But a heart attack does not only affect the heart and breathing. Sometimes the body sends out a very strange warning signal, one that most people would never connect to heart problems. And that is the next warning sign many older adults missed before it was too late. There is one heart attack warning sign that many people underestimate because they assume it is simply low blood pressure, a cold, or ordinary fatigue from aging. That sign is sudden cold sweats combined with unusual dizziness. You are not exercising. The weather is not hot. Yet your body suddenly breaks out into a cold sweat. Your palms become wet. Your forehead turns cold and your body feels weak as if all your strength has disappeared. Some people also experience spinning sensations, difficulty standing, or the feeling that they are about to faint. This is not a normal reaction. When the heart is in serious trouble and can no longer pump blood effectively, the body immediately enters an emergency state. The nervous system releases large amounts of stress hormones in an attempt to keep the body alive. That reaction is what causes cold sweating even when you are neither hot nor physically active. Many emergency doctors say that some patients never experience severe chest pain, but instead develop cold sweats and dizziness shortly before a heart attack occurs. A 70-year-old man once believed he was simply experiencing low blood sugar while watching television in the evening. He suddenly felt chills running down his spine, sweat pouring from his body, and intense dizziness. About 15 minutes later, he unexpectedly collapsed onto the floor from a major heart attack. The danger is that many people try to stand up, walk around, or search for medication when these symptoms appear. But the more you move, the harder the heart is forced to work. If you suddenly experience cold sweats, dizziness, or the feeling that you might faint for no clear reason, especially when combined with shortness of breath or chest pressure, you should treat it as a serious warning signal from your body. And sometimes, a heart attack disguises itself in an even more dangerous way. The pain does not appear in the chest at all, but instead shows up in places very few people would ever expect. That is why the next warning sign has caused many people to miss the golden window to save their own lives. When people think about a heart attack, most imagine pain centered in the chest. But in reality, many dangerous cases actually begin with pain in completely different parts of the body. It may start as aching in the left shoulder, numbness in the arm, a dull pain in the upper back, tightness in the neck, or even jaw pain that feels just like a toothache. And because these symptoms are so deceptive, many people never realize their heart is in danger. Doctors call this radiating pain. When the heart is severely deprived of oxygen, pain signals travel through the nervous system and spread to other parts of the body. The most common area is the left arm, but in older adults the pain may appear in both arms, the shoulders, upper back, neck, or jaw. Some people describe the sensation as muscle strain, soreness from sleeping in the wrong position, or ordinary shoulder pain. But the difference is that the discomfort is often accompanied by extreme fatigue, shortness of breath, or cold sweats. A 74-year-old woman once went to the dentist because she believed she had a serious toothache. She had been experiencing sharp pain in her lower jaw for several hours, but while sitting in the dental chair, she suddenly became short of breath and fainted. Doctors later confirmed that she was having a heart attack. That is why heart specialists constantly warn people not to focus only on chest pain. If unusual pain spreads to the shoulders, arms, neck, or jaw, especially in people over 60, it should never be ignored. What is even more frightening is that some people do not feel obvious pain anywhere at all. Instead, their body gives off a much more subtle signal, nausea, bloating, or discomfort that feels like simple indigestion. And that is the next warning sign many people ignore until it is too late. That is exactly what makes heart attacks far more dangerous in older adults. They do not always begin with intense, obvious chest pain. Sometimes the body only sends vague warning signs, symptoms that feel exactly like ordinary digestive problems. Many people experience nausea, bloating, heartburn, or discomfort in the upper stomach before suffering a heart attack. Some believe they simply ate something bad. Others think their stomach problems are acting up again. And some just take medication and lie down to rest while their heart is slowly losing oxygen, minute by minute. This is one of the main reasons so many heart attack cases miss the golden window for treatment. When the heart begins functioning abnormally, the nervous system and other organs throughout the body are also affected. This can create sensations of stomach discomfort or abdominal pressure, especially in adults over 60 and older women. A 69-year-old man once believed he was only suffering from bloating after dinner. His stomach felt uncomfortable, he became slightly nauseous, and he no longer wanted to eat. But about 30 minutes later, he suddenly developed severe shortness of breath and intense cold sweats. When he arrived at the hospital, doctors confirmed he was experiencing a major heart attack. The most dangerous part is how easily these symptoms convince people that nothing serious is happening. If nausea, indigestion, or unusual bloating appears suddenly, especially alongside chest pressure, shortness of breath, or overwhelming fatigue, do not reassure yourself by saying, "It's probably nothing." For older adults, this may be an early warning signal from the heart itself. And as a heart attack becomes more severe, the body often develops another frightening symptom: a sudden wave of exhaustion so intense that it feels as if every ounce of energy has been drained from the body within minutes. This is one of the most dangerous warning signs of all, because it is so easily mistaken for ordinary fatigue caused by aging. Many people experience unusual exhaustion hours or even days before a heart attack occurs. Not the kind of tiredness that comes after heavy work, but a deep, overwhelming weakness throughout the entire body, as if every bit of energy has disappeared. Some people become so drained that even walking a few steps makes them want to sit down and rest. Some people suddenly have to hold onto the kitchen counter while cooking because they feel an unexpected wave of weakness. Others wake up in the morning already feeling heavy and completely exhausted, and the frightening part is that many simply assume they are getting older and naturally becoming weaker. But in reality, when the heart can no longer pump enough blood and oxygen through the body, the organs quickly begin losing energy. That is why patients feel completely drained even when they have done almost nothing physically demanding. A 71-year-old woman once shared that before being hospitalized for a heart attack, she had felt exhausted for 2 straight days. Simply walking from the living room to the kitchen left her short of breath and desperate to lie down. She believed she was only sleep-deprived or coming down with a mild cold, but on the 3rd day she suddenly developed severe chest pain and had to be rushed to the emergency room. Cardiologists warn that unusual exhaustion, especially when combined with shortness of breath, dizziness, or cold sweats, should never be ignored in adults over 60. The danger is that many people try to push through it. They continue walking, working, climbing stairs, or forcing their body to function normally. But the harder they push themselves, the harder the heart must work, while already suffering from a serious lack of oxygen. If you have ever experienced this kind of sudden, unusual exhaustion, remember that your body may have been desperately trying to send you a warning before it was too late. And right now, if you are watching this video, comment 1 if you or someone you love has experienced any of these warning signs. Many people only realize they ignored dangerous symptoms after the heart attack has already happened. But even more frightening than all the signs we have discussed so far is the final warning sign. A symptom that appears suddenly becomes extremely dangerous within moments and often happens just before the body completely loses control. This may be the final and most dangerous signal the body sends before a heart attack spirals completely out of control. Many people describe the sensation as if their entire body suddenly loses strength. Their ears begin ringing. Their vision becomes blurry. Their head spins as if they are about to faint. Some people even feel their arms and legs go weak, struggle to stand steadily, or notice their heartbeat becoming dangerously irregular. At that point, it is no longer a mild warning sign. When the heart can no longer pump enough blood to the brain, the body quickly enters a critical condition. Even a short period of oxygen deprivation to the brain can cause severe dizziness, loss of consciousness, or sudden collapse at any moment. What makes this especially dangerous is that many people still try to stand up, search for medication, walk to the door, or even drive themselves to the hospital when these symptoms begin. But those movements can force the heart to fail even faster. A 3-year-old man once became dizzy while repairing something in his garage. He believed his blood pressure had simply dropped, so he tried to walk back into the house to get water. But after only a few steps, he collapsed onto the floor from a massive heart attack. Doctors warn that if chest pressure, shortness of breath, or cold sweats are combined with dizziness, or the feeling that you may faint, it should be treated as an immediate medical emergency. And at that moment, the most important thing is no longer trying to endure a little longer, but taking the right actions to keep yourself alive before emergency help arrives. Because after all the warning signs we have discussed, the biggest question remains: if a heart attack happens while you are completely alone, what should you do to increase your chances of survival? Right now, here are 7 life-saving actions emergency doctors want every person over 60 to remember. After all the warning signs we have discussed, this is the very first and most important thing you must remember: never wait for the pain to go away on its own. Many people have lost their lives simply because they thought they should sit and rest a little longer. They reassured themselves that it was probably just fatigue, indigestion, or mild low blood pressure. But during a real heart attack, every minute that passes means more heart muscle cells are dying. Cardiologists have a famous saying: time is muscle. The longer the delay, the more severe the damage to the heart becomes. If you experience symptoms such as chest pressure, shortness of breath, cold sweats, pain spreading into the arms, or the feeling that you may faint, call emergency services immediately. Do not try to endure it. Do not drive yourself to the hospital, and never sit there waiting to see if it gets better. A 8-year-old man once felt chest pressure while watching television in the evening. He assumed it was just bloating, so he drank some water and rested. He waited nearly 2 hours before calling emergency services. By the time he arrived at the hospital, doctors told him that a large portion of his heart muscle had already suffered irreversible damage. Meanwhile, many other patients survived simply because they called for help within the very first minutes. At that moment, the most important thing is not asking yourself, "Am I absolutely sure this is a heart attack?" The important thing is to act as if it truly is one. If it turns out to be only indigestion, you lose nothing. But if it is a real heart attack, the decision to call for help immediately could save your life. And after calling emergency services, there is one very simple action that has helped many people keep blood flowing long enough to survive before doctors arrive. Yet surprisingly, many older adults are completely unprepared for it at home. And that is the next life-saving step. That is aspirin. A small pill that in many cases can mean the difference between life and death. When a heart attack happens, the most common cause is a blood clot, blocking the flow of blood to the heart. Aspirin helps thin the blood and can prevent the clot from growing larger. But there is one extremely important detail many people do not know. If you suspect a heart attack, chew the aspirin instead of swallowing it whole. When chewed, the medication is absorbed much faster and can begin working within just a few minutes. In a situation where every second matters, that extra time may help the heart continue receiving enough blood until emergency services arrive. A 70-year-old retired bus driver once shared that he suddenly developed severe chest pain while sitting alone in his living room. He remembered his doctor telling him to immediately chew an aspirin while calling emergency services. Later, doctors told him that action significantly reduced the damage to his heart. But remember, aspirin is not safe for everyone. If you are allergic to aspirin, have a bleeding disorder, or your doctor has specifically told you not to take it, skip this step and wait for medical professionals to assist you. That is why many experts recommend that adults over 60 keep a bottle of aspirin somewhere easy to reach at home. When a heart attack begins, you may not remain calm enough to search for medication in a panic. However, taking medication alone is not enough. During those dangerous moments, the way you sit, breathe, and keep your body stable can directly affect your chances of survival. And that is why the next action sounds incredibly simple. Yet it has helped many people avoid collapsing before the ambulance arrived. When a heart attack begins, many people panic and react instinctively. Some start pacing back and forth. Some collapse flat onto the floor. Others try to force themselves to continue functioning normally. But those reactions can place even more strain on the heart. At that moment, what you should do is sit down in the most comfortable position possible, lean slightly back, and try to keep your body as stable as possible. At the same time, loosen your collar belt or anything that feels tight around your body. It sounds simple, but this helps the lungs breathe more easily and reduces pressure on the heart while it is already suffering from a severe lack of oxygen. Doctors explain that when the heart is in distress, even excessive movement or struggling to breathe harder than normal can cause the body to deteriorate much faster. In older adults, especially lying completely flat or moving around too much during a heart attack can rapidly worsen shortness of breath. A 74-year-old woman once suffered a heart attack while gardening. Instead of forcing herself to walk back inside the house, she sat down on a nearby chair, loosened her clothing, and tried to stay calm while calling emergency services. Later, doctors told her that limiting her movement likely prevented her from losing consciousness before the ambulance arrived. The most important thing in that moment is this: do not try to act strong. Do not convince yourself that you can push through it a little longer. Your body is facing a true medical emergency. And during those dangerous minutes, there is another unusual technique many people have never heard of, but in certain situations it may help keep enough blood flowing to the brain to prevent unconsciousness before help arrives. And that is the next life-saving action emergency doctors especially want older adults to know about. It may sound strange, but in certain dangerous situations, coughing forcefully and repeatedly may help you stay conscious for a few extra seconds or even minutes before emergency help arrives. This technique is often referred to as cough CPR. When you cough forcefully, the pressure inside the chest temporarily helps keep blood circulating to the brain and other vital organs. It does not stop a heart attack, but in some cases it may help delay unconsciousness. Especially if you begin experiencing severe dizziness, blurred vision, irregular heartbeat, the feeling that you are about to collapse. Then forceful coughing may help buy precious time while waiting for emergency services. A 6-9-year-old man once suffered a heart attack while alone in his repair workshop. He suddenly became extremely dizzy and felt as though he was about to lose consciousness. He remembered hearing about the coughing technique, so he tried taking deep breaths and coughing repeatedly while waiting for the ambulance. Later, doctors told him that action may have helped him remain conscious long enough to receive emergency treatment in time. If you ever find yourself in this situation, try the following. Take a very deep breath, then cough hard and sharply. Repeat every few seconds if the dizziness continues. But remember one very important thing. This is only a temporary support measure, not a treatment for a heart attack. The danger is that some people feel slightly better afterward and assume they are fine, then continue moving around. But in reality, the heart is still in an extremely critical condition. That is why the next action has nothing to do with the heart itself. Yet it can give emergency responders precious extra minutes to save your life when they arrive. When a heart attack happens, many people focus entirely on the pain inside their body and forget one extremely important thing: how emergency responders will reach them as quickly as possible. And sometimes something as simple as a locked door can turn the situation into a tragedy. Emergency workers have encountered many cases where patients successfully called emergency services but collapsed before unlocking the door. By the time the ambulance arrived, responders were forced to break in or find another way into the house. And during a heart attack, even a few minutes of delay can become the difference between life and death. That is why, if you suspect you are having a heart attack, you should try to unlock the door as early as possible. If you are still conscious enough, try to unlock the main door or leave it open. Turn on the lights if it is nighttime. Keep your phone right beside you. Use speakerphone while talking to emergency services. These small actions help medical responders find you faster and continue guiding you while they are on the way. An 80-year-old woman who lived alone once did exactly this after suddenly developing severe chest pressure and difficulty breathing. She unlocked her door, sat near the entrance, and kept her phone in her hand while waiting for the ambulance. Later, doctors said that small action allowed the rescue team to reach her much faster and helped save her life in time. Sadly, there have also been heartbreaking cases where patients called emergency services but then dropped the phone, lost consciousness, and left the door locked, preventing responders from getting inside quickly enough. As your body begins to weaken, do not keep moving around unnecessarily. Let your surroundings help you survive, instead of draining the little strength you have left. And after calling emergency services, unlocking the door, and keeping your body stable, there is one extremely important thing many people fail to control during panic. That is their breathing. When people panic, the body naturally begins breathing faster. But during a heart attack, that reaction can force the heart to work even harder. That is why doctors constantly try to calm patients by saying, "Stay calm and control your breathing." It sounds simple, but slow, deep breathing can help the body maintain oxygen levels, reduce strain on the heart, and prevent panic from making the heart attack worsen more quickly. When fear takes over, the body releases large amounts of stress hormones such as adrenaline. The heart beats faster, blood pressure rises, the body's demand for oxygen also increases. But the problem is that the heart is already suffering from a severe lack of oxygen. If panic continues, the heart can become exhausted much faster. A 76-year-old retired nurse once shared that during her heart attack, the only thing she focused on was controlling her breathing. She sat still, closed her eyes, and slowly inhaled through her nose before gently exhaling through her mouth. By the time the ambulance arrived, she was still conscious, even though her body had become extremely weak. Doctors later explained that maintaining a steady breathing rhythm may have helped reduce the strain on her heart during the most dangerous moments. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, try this. Inhale slowly through your nose, feel your stomach gently expand. Hold for a few seconds, then exhale slowly through your mouth. Do not try to breathe too forcefully. The goal is simply to keep your breathing slow and steady, so your body does not fall into complete panic. In many cases, fear itself causes the body to collapse even faster than the heart attack. And that leads to the final action, the single most important thing you can do to stay alive before emergency help arrives. Something that sounds simple, yet very few people are truly able to do when facing the line between life and death. During the most dangerous moments of a heart attack, what saves your life is sometimes not doing more, but stopping all unnecessary activity. Many people panic and instinctively try to walk around, search for medication, go outside to call a neighbor, or even drive themselves to the hospital. But every movement during that moment forces the heart to pump harder while it is already suffering from a severe lack of oxygen. Cardiologists warn that the more physical activity you do during a heart attack, the greater the risk of heart muscle damage and sudden cardiac arrest. That is why the most important thing to do is sit still, stay calm, limit movement as much as possible, focus on your breathing, wait for emergency responders to arrive. A 71-year-old farmer once suffered a heart attack while repairing machinery on his farm. His first instinct was to climb the stairs to get his phone, but instead he decided to sit down and call for help immediately from where he was. Later, doctors told him that if he had continued moving for even a few more minutes, his heart might not have survived the strain. The most dangerous part of a heart attack is not only the blocked blood vessel, but also the panic that follows. When the body panics, the heart rate rises sharply, blood pressure increases, and the heart is forced to work even harder. That is why staying calm does not just help emotionally, it also reduces the physical stress placed on an already exhausted heart. Remember this. You already called emergency services. You already did what needed to be done. Your most important job now is to keep your body stable long enough to survive. And if you have watched this video all the way to this point, comment 1 below so I know you stayed through all these critical warning signs and life-saving actions, because one day, the knowledge you learned today might help save your life or the life of someone you love during a real emergency. But before we finish, there is one final thing every person over 60 needs to remember. One thing that could completely change their chances of survival if a heart attack suddenly happens in the future. A heart attack does not always begin with sudden crushing pain that makes you collapse instantly. In many cases, it starts with very small warning signs. Mild chest pressure, unusual shortness of breath, Cold sweats, pain in the shoulder or jaw, nausea, extreme exhaustion, dizziness that feels like you may faint. And the most frightening part is, most people ignore them. But after today's video, you now understand that the body almost always tries to send warning signals before it is too late. The real question is whether we recognize those signs and act in time. Remember these 7 most important actions. Call emergency services immediately. Chew aspirin if you are not allergic. Sit upright and loosen tight clothing. Cough forcefully if you feel like you may faint. Unlock the door and keep your phone beside you. Breathe slowly and deeply. Stay calm. And limit movement. These actions do not replace medical treatment, but they may buy you the precious extra minutes needed to survive until help arrives. And sometimes, just a few extra minutes can completely change the fate of a human life. If you watched all the way to the end, comment 1 below so I know you are ready to protect your own health and the people you love. And please share this video with your parents, grandparents, or anyone over 60 years old, because one day, this knowledge may save the life of someone you truly care about. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel to continue following more important health videos in the future. And always remember, the right knowledge at the right moment can save a life.